Thank you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our latest LinkedIn Live. You know what it is? I think I've been doing so many of these, I feel so casual about it.
Yeah.
That, he's giving me a countdown and I'm on my phone fooling around. Hi, Raph.
Hi, Tony.
I have with me my long-suffering, long-time business partner, Raph LaRue. Raph LaRue. Do you know what I mean by long-suffering?
I have a good idea.
It means you've been suffering for a long time.
Of your dad jokes?
From my dad jokes.
Yes. Yes. In particular, particularly your dad jokes.
The dad jokes?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of slowed down the dad jokes a little bit.
Yeah, now it's becoming grandpa jokes.
Grandpa jokes.
Yeah.
And Kyler is behind the scenes. Yeah. He's very far away from us. I think he's about 10 feet away from us.
Yep.
So that's weird to say that anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
So welcome everybody, and really happy to. We haven't done anything together for a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. I haven't been in a live. Yeah.
Yeah, and you and I haven't done a video probably since the beginning of 2020, maybe January 2020.
It's probably almost a year. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've been doing a lot of content. But
because you're good at it. So I prefer you to do it,
I don't know if I might be good at it, but I don't know how many viewers we have. Do we have any viewers watching us today?
Yeah, we had 23.
Wow, 23. That's good.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's because I'm there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's 5 of your family, 5 of my family. Few of your family.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. No, just kidding. All right. So, you know what I was actually remarking, Kyler, and just a little, this might help people too, is that I find that when I post a video on LinkedIn, the viewership is mainly in Montreal.
Yeah.
Is that a LinkedIn algorithm or something like that it only sends out a notification to?
Maybe most of your connections are Montreal.
No, most of my connections are in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah, I have a massive network in the U.S. Maybe I should count them. I know I have a lot of C-level executives, business owners, but for some reason Montreal is always dominant in viewership. So anyway,
I don't know. Maybe
something. Kyler, any thoughts on that?
It's probably a mix of everything. It's what people are clicking on. If people in Montreal are clicking on it, then they'll share it to more people in Montreal.
Okay.
Oh,
so let's say you bring up a topic.
Good one.
And they're located there. LinkedIn will send it out saying, "Oh, this is a good topic," because a lot of people in Montreal are connecting.
Right.
So
cool.
It could be that.
All right.
A number of factors. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good answer, buddy. So Raph, let's talk about the subject of this live.
Yes.
Is the massive data center fire that happened in France.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to France?
Quite a few times.
You speak French?
I do.
Okay.
What about you?
A little bit. So OVH, which is a data center, that's a hosting company, right?
Yeah.
OVH.
Yeah, it's pretty old actually. It exists for a long.
Old?
Yeah, it exists for a long time.
And it's big and well known and popular. I've even heard of them. We have.
Yeah, I've used them in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, OVH. Okay, so they had a massive fire.
Yep.
In their main data center.
Actually, on that, from what I've read on that location, they have 4, and one of the 4.
Oh, so they have 4 buildings in that one massive location, and one of those.
But
4
it's still a very important location.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of those 4 buildings. Do they know the cause of the fire? Was it like a electrical?
I did not research about it.
Okay. They might not even know.
Yeah, I think it's still under investigation.
And the thing that's striking there is that normally these data centers have these ultra sophisticated
well, that's
fire extinguisher.
That's the thing. Like I've been in quite a few data centers,
You've
And-
been in
yeah.
a few data centers? Okay.
Yeah, and generally their system is the ones that remove the oxygen from the
Okay,
space.
So when there's a fire, instead of shooting out water
yeah.
or powder.
Yeah, because it would destroy the servers,
Okay.
right?
So it removes the oxygen.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have you have like a minute to get out of the data center when all the lights and whistle starts. You know.
Okay, so when the alarm goes off, you got 60 seconds to get out of
Pretty
there
much.
because there will be no more oxygen.
Yeah, and otherwise there's motions sensors everywhere.
Okay.
And you have to go in front of one and start dancing in front of it, so the systems
Doesn't
waits for
know.
you to go
Oh,
out.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the ones that I've went to had something like that.
Okay.
Something like that.
So I guess none of this worked, and this was like a massive fire, destroyed the entire building, destroyed
Yeah.
all of the servers inside
it's
of the
it's
building.
terrible. Like it's a big disaster.
Yeah.
There's multiple businesses and people that are still going through a big drama.
Okay, so before we get to that,
Yeah.
I think there was over 3 million
Yeah, a few
websites
millions,
or
yeah.
web applications affected.
Yep.
So in that
Correct.
data center building, there was over 3 million
Correct.
clients. Let's say.
Well, a few. I don't have the exact number, but I think it's a few millions for sure.
What did
And-
you put in the event details? I think you quoted a number. You must have
Oh, yeah?
researched it. Yeah. there
And
was-
and I know there was even like universities and government involved
banks
have been affected, and banks.
There was, which is normal, right?
But
It's a massive data
but
center.
I felt bad because when this happened, like a lot of people were very judgmental. Let's say on Twitter and the replies, they should have had backups. I mean, people being affected.
Okay.
We're gonna get to that subject, but at the same time, not everyone knows, and I'm not being too rough on them because they're
Yeah.
going through a lot of shit right now, and it's not good for them. You know?
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fallout. Yes.
3.6 million.
3.6 million.
So
yeah.
3.6 million websites were
that's
down.
a lot. Yeah,
Okay. So let's talk about the fallout.
yeah.
So all of a sudden, all those websites are down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, out of those 3.6 million people, there's some that had backups.
Of course. Yeah.
There's some that had backups, but they were not good backups. And there's some that didn't have any backups. Is
and or thought that it was not necessary to have backups because it's a big company, it's a big
that- okay.
data
That
centers.
place will never catch fire.
Exactly.
So we don't need a backup.
Let's say that it's
something
extremely
I would
rare.
say, by the way.
It's probably it's extremely rare that the data center is going to go on fire.
Yeah, it's almost like saying like your money's not secure
To-
in a bank.
In my lifetime, I think it's the first time I hear about a
And
data
you've been
center going.
you started your career as a sysadmin when you were a teenager, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I started playing with that around the age of 17.
17?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at that time, actually, it's funny because the place where we had our servers at the time actually got into fire.
Caught fire.
Yeah, but their data center, which was very small, like it was like maybe 30 by 20 or feet, but it was in a concrete bunker,
Okay.
and everything else around the building burned, but that.
Oh, so the inside of the building was safe because it was concrete.
The server were safe. They've been able to
Okay.
take them, move them elsewhere, reboot them. Yeah,
All right, that's cool.
and that's like 25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fallout. So let's say that there's 3 types of people
Yeah.
that were inside of that data center.
Correct.
There's the people without, well, business. When I say people, I mean businesses, but obviously the
Yeah.
people behind the businesses, right?
Yeah.
So to me, they're people. So there's 3 different types of people. There's people that had no backup whatsoever
Mm-hmm.
and assumed, like probably I would, it's not going to catch fire, all of that stuff. Then there's people that did have backups, but the backups were either corrupted or they weren't properly formatted.
Correct.
And then and I'll let you get into that part. And then there's the third one where the people that did have backups, their backups were properly
Yeah.
set up, and they were pretty much not affected at all.
Yeah,
Right.
they probably have been able to turn around within a day or two and be
Within
up.
a day, yeah. Well, let's say,
I mean, people
Within a day.
when you're well organized, that's how long it should take.
okay, and now this happened when, this fire? It was like 3 months ago?
It was in March.
Yeah, that's
Oh, it's
like
in
a month.
March,
That's
okay.
like a month ago. Yeah,
So it happened a month ago, and there's probably still people that are still not back on.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Not
I'm-
100% of the people, but there's a lot of people
Oh
that
yeah,
are still.
oh yeah.
not back
There's
online yet.
there's certainly some websites or application that are still down,
They're still down.
and they don't know how they're gonna recover it because they lost all their data. That's why I'm saying at the beginning
Yeah.
that it's pretty bad. Like, although there was ignorance and negligence from some of their clients,
Yeah.
they're still going through a big drama in their life right now. And,
Okay.
and
Which way should we start? Because I want to cover 1, 2,
Yeah.
3. Should we start with the people that are backed up with proper backups, or should we start with the people that are probably like just completely not backed?
I would start with people that have no backups.
No backup. Okay, so
Yeah.
someone like me would probably think, and that's why I'm not in charge of that stuff here. Someone like me would probably think, there's no way that the OVH mega data center is going to catch on fire. I don't need a backup. For those type of people, what is the impact on them and their businesses?
Oh, it's terrible. Imagine if you have a small website that sells, I don't know, soaps,
So yeah,
right? And
Okay.
and you make soap, custom soap,
can we say
whatever.
pillows?
Pillows.
Okay.
Yeah, you sell pillows,
I like pillows.
and and that is your business, and you lost it.
Okay, so you're done.
You're done. You need to rebuild something.
Okay, when you say rebuild something, so again, let's say that I have an e-commerce website and I'm selling pillows. And I didn't do a backup, and it's all at that place.
Yeah.
Caught fire.
Correct.
So not only is my customer data gone,
But
are
tha-
you-
but that's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of people don't know. Okay, and when they would and it's not just OVH. It's like that for many hosting companies. Even if the hosting company has cloud in their name or in the description, that doesn't mean it's going to be everywhere, and that doesn't mean it's going to be backed up.
okay,
So in most
Oh.
cases, you're going to rent a space on a server,
yeah,
right? And backups is your responsibility, but most people don't know that. Most hosting companies have a backup option.
Hang on a second. Are you saying that some people right now think because there's cloud in the name of
100%.
wherever they are, they think they're actually covered?
They're safe.
Yeah, but they're not.
They're not.
Unless it was done properly. Okay,
Exactly.
so that's like, what can you do to cover yourself? So that's like number 3
Well,
on my list.
most companies, whether it's AWS, Linode, OVH, they have backups option,
Yeah.
right? And it's not very expensive normally, but
Is it just a click of a button?
it generally just a click
Oh, man.
or
Okay.
a couple clips.
Okay, let's
couple
go
clicks,
back
yeah.
because that's going to
Yeah.
be next after we talk about those 3 levels of pain.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the ones that didn't have a backup have nothing. They have to start over.
Yep. As bad as
Are
it
you kidding
sounds,
me?
I'm not kidding. There's people that lost their income from a day to another.
Okay, so those are the people that are still down now.
Yep.
Their websites are down and they're actually rebuilding. Okay. Wow. Okay. Man, that's bad. It's almost like a bank shutting down. It's the same thing, right? If you've got your business, your revenues coming in every day.
Well, you can
it's
see it as basically it's like having a store on the street.
That just got burned down.
It got burned down, but you had no no disaster recovery plan.
Yeah.
Knowing, okay, if it happens, I'm gonna find a place nearby. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
there temporarily. I'm gonna put a sign.
Yeah.
It's not even that.
Okay. So they have. Wow, that's really bad. I didn't know it was. I thought there was something that they can. Well, hang on a second. Okay, what about their code? What if their code is on, let's say, GitHub or code repository?
It's already better.
Okay, so
But
that's better.
they probably don't. I mean, if they don't have a backup of the server, they probably don't have a backup of the data as well.
Yeah, I'm assuming the data is lost. If the data center went.
So then you
down,
have an application that has no.
But at least.
Yeah,
at
you
least
can.
you still have your website.
Yeah, you need to restart still.
Okay, you need to
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to re-enter your product. If that's in e-commerce, you need to re-enter your product, your clients.
Oh yeah, it's probably like a 2-month nightmare.
Depend how many clients you have and how many products do you have.
And if you don't have a client database,
Yeah.
who are your clients?
Yeah.
Gee.
No, that's not good.
Boy, okay.
That's really not good.
Okay, so that is like really that
But
person is in.
but most of the time, this can be solved by enabling
Yep.
backups.
That's coming.
And it's like it's cheap. Like if I take the example of Linode as an example, which
Yeah.
is an SSD cloud hosting, whatever.
Linode is a hosting
Yeah.
company.
So we've used them for a long time, and for each instance that we had, we could enable backups for like $5 a month,
Okay, we're gonna get to that. I wanna
and
go
that's
to
it. You know, then you have all the snapshots you can just restore. Those who had that at OVH are fine.
Yeah.
Right now, if you even for example, AWS doesn't back up everything. You know, I cannot go too much into the details. I'm not. Let's say I don't know it enough. But for example, S3, where is all the files being stored? It's everywhere. It's in the cloud for real. But an instance in a certain data center, if that data center goes into fire as well, it's the same thing that's going to happen if you did not enable the backups. But when you enable the backups on AWS, you can also select where. Like, do you want them in the same area? You don't want them the backup somewhere else of the area?
Okay, so I'm gonna cover that when we get to what can you do to cover yourself, because I think I understand what you're saying. But now just back to those three people. The one person's in a world of hurt.
Correct. Have no
Number two-
backups. They in damage control.
Yeah, so we covered that. They're going to have to rebuild. They have no more database. That is a real disaster. You know what? I almost feel like I don't want to call out OVH, but I almost feel that a data center should almost not allow that. It's like, you know, I'll let you.
They
have a
probably
server here.
probably have warnings.
Warnings, yeah, but it should be. You should be obligated to say you can only host here if you have a backup somewhere else. Anyway,
If you serve clients' best interests, I think that would be
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's surprising because they do offer a good service. These guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've
they're
heard of
good
them
company.
a lot. And
Yeah.
look, data fire's not their fault, but it might be an industry thing that the person number one should not be able to exist.
They probably
You
want to
know?
stay competitive as well.
The same reason why you make it a law that you have to wear a seatbelt. You should probably make it a law that if you're going to have your server hosted in my data center, you have to wear a seatbelt.
The problem is there's still, although the .com bubble, the years 2000 is 20 years past already.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of people that have this mentality of if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do maintenance. They don't update. They don't do anything. It's working, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And they just don't know. They got a server. It's up and running, and they're fine with that. But
Mm-hmm.
they never question themselves. Even here, a few years ago, with sysadmins, we were wondering what if it happens to us.
Yeah, I remember we had that meeting.
So we simulated it.
Yeah, we simulated it one
Yeah,
day. We
and
said-
within a day, we would be up and running.
What did you do again? You waited. I think I remember this. We waited until we're like a Monday morning. The sysadmins came in and we said there was a fire last night.
Yeah.
Everything's burned to a crisp.
What do we do?
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And they did pretty good,
Yep.
I think. Okay, number two. Number
Yeah.
two is the person that actually
As backup.
has a backup,
Yeah.
but it's a crappy backup.
Well,
Okay,
I know
take me
people.
through that.
Yeah, I know.
You know people.
I
eh?
know people. I know.
Can you
some-
mention any names? Don't name names.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna name.
So you have a friend that has that.
Yeah, I have a friend that is having a very successful company, and I was very surprised to see how he struggled with his backups, because he's a technical person, and but it took 2 weeks for him to restore his product, and was still having some issues.
Is that the person, your friend that you said had some type of backup passwords in a safe, but he forgot the
He forgot-
combination of
he
the,
f-
He was
exactly.
probably panicking, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Did he?
So he
Did
had
he
he
end up
has his
remembering the password of the safe?
he had his backups
physical
on physical hard drives in a safe.
In a physical safe.
In a physical safe.
Okay, and
So
he
like-
forgot the combination. To the
So
safe.
he had to break in his he had to break in his safe.
I could see that though. If you're panicked and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
the data
totally.
center just went on fire. Go get the backups, and I'm in front of the
But
safe.
but
like,
that's the thing. For me, it doesn't make sense that you have backups and you feel good with it, without questioning how am I going to restore those backups?
So you have to do like a dry run.
Exactly. Like, for example, we were managing a website before, very successful website, but the database was constantly generating new data. So yeah, there was backup, but at some point I questioned, if we have to restore one of those snapshots, what about when the snapshot start? Because the snapshot of the server was taking about 20 minutes to process, but 20 minutes, there's a lot of data happening in between.
It's a long time. Yeah.
So what's going to happen is the database going to be corrupted. You need to question those things, and you don't have to be that technical to do that. It's just that you need to believe that something bad can happen.
So you have to test your disaster recovery, like on a monthly basis, maybe.
And I was following on Twitter when the I don't know if it's the owner or the CEO of OVH, when he published a tweet saying you should look at your disaster recovery plan.
Yeah. Okay. So when the fire happened, he tweeted,
Like
"There's a fire."
like
you
a few
should
hours
look at-
after.
You
Yeah.
should look at your disaster recovery
Exactly.
plan.
And
Did he write in parentheses if you have one?
No, but in the replies, I could see a lot of
Panic.
deers in the headlights.
Yeah.
Like what you're talking about.
So what happened to your friend? So now he broke into his safe.
Yeah.
And he found his backups that were on a hard
Correct.
drive.
Correct.
But they didn't work.
No, they did work, but the way that he backed it up was not simple to restore.
Not simple to restore. Okay.
So have to take a new server, has to restore the code, has to restore the database. Oh, the database is late, So it was not on point. Let's call it.
Okay.
And
And he's still struggling with it? He's still down?
well, as of last week, they were still missing some data.
They're still missing data, but are they able to operate their business?
Yes. They were still. Luckily for them, their application was just a reporting application.
Okay.
So basically, you've been a couple of weeks without reportings, and that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. They've been able to operate anyway. But I was still surprised by how not efficient the backups were made.
Yeah. And that's him. I wonder, we'll never know, but I wonder how many of the people that had backups had that type of issue, like, whether it's banks or, big email campaign.
And sometimes it's backups that you set up like 4 or 5 years ago. It's still running, but you don't remember. By the time you need to go back and reread and at your documentation, if you did any, and how you made it, and try to restore it, it takes time.
But Raf, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not only a fire that necessitates disaster recovery.
No.
Right? It could be another thing, like, the server might just pop or break.
Well,
or
whatever.
power surge.
Anything can happen.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be a
remember,
fire.
I think it was in U.S. In the U.S., a hurricane
A hurricane,
that happened a few years ago, and some data centers were running purely on generators
Okay.
because there was no power anymore for weeks.
Okay, so it doesn't have to exclusively be a fire. It could
No.
be power failure, power surge, vandalism. Could be anything. So,
Anything.
Man, you really
Anything.
gotta run that tight every.
Especially if it's your business.
Yeah.
It's
When-
serious.
When do you recommend? Oh no, I'm not going to get to the recommended part first. Hang on. I'm trying to keep a structure here with my scribbled notes. Anything happening before we keep on going?
A lot. People are debating in
Good.
in the comments. Some people agree with what you guys are saying. Some people disagree that they believe that the person has the right to choose how they want to back up their information.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. What you can do to cover yourself. I just want to go.
But they
to
were
this
probably
last-
the person that said that probably was referring to when you said that it should not even be an option for
Oh
backups.
yes, okay, good point. No, I think it. You know
Or to me, if I was, if we were going to open a hosting company tomorrow, I would make the backup enabled by default.
Enabled by default.
And you need to disable it if you don't want it, with a big ass warning.
I wouldn't let him disable it.
At that point, that,
I would say if you want to.
but maybe not everyone needs one. You know.
No, I'm deciding. I'm like a nanny state. I'm like the government. I'm like, no, I don't trust you.
Okay.
I don't trust you. Because you know what? Look at OVH now. Do you think OVH is getting some negative press, perhaps?
That's true.
You know, and it's not even warranted, right?
Yeah.
According to this person's post or comment, you know, it's not up to OVH to decide, which is true. However, they're still going to get probably a lot of negative press, you know, where they could have said, hey, everyone had their backups. And
Well,
you know,
or you just manage to have a business model that is including backups and period. You know, you might be a little bit above the average price, but
that might be the problem. You might be a little bit above the average price, and the person who's shopping price is gonna.
well, if you're shopping price, then you don't care about backups. To be honest,
No,
like if that's really your concern, if you're looking for $5, $7, $8 a month website hosting, then backups is the least of your concern.
Yeah, no, I'm talking more about the bigger companies that were there, right? So there's probably at a 3.6 million people or businesses that went down, or websites that went down. Who knows how many are still not up or trying to get up or are up in a hurt way, you know? So let's go to number 3. Now, I don't really necessarily want to know how they did it because I want to cover that in the next step. But the ones that were backed up properly, how did it go for them?
It depends.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends. It depends how the backups are made and if there's documentation how to restore the backups.
How to restore the backups. Yeah.
You know,
okay.
like it's documentation is a big thing, and if we're just talking about big websites or big businesses or larger websites or not just small websites, documentation is everything.
Yeah.
Because you will never remember how you did your backups. Now the backups that you scheduled a long time ago, is it backing up still everything in your database? Is it backing up your code base? I don't know. It really depends. And this is not something you can set up and sleep for years in case something happened. Then you're going to go back and read at it. Once in a while, you have to look back and say, okay, that's still actual.
Okay, what is once in a while? I know I'm skipping ahead now. I probably will skip ahead.
It's probably every year.
Go.
Like, you know.
Once a year, right? You know what? I have an idea.
It depends.
What about you do it when there's a time change? Like you do with your smoke detector batteries.
Yeah.
So every 6 months.
But they're considering to remove the time change. Then you're going to be in trouble.
Oh, okay.
No, but it could be that it's the responsibilities of sysadmins and people in charge. And of those servers, and they should be reviewing your backups all the time.
Okay, so let's go forward to now.
Because what if your system is backing up your database, doing a dump of the database, right? But the way it's doing it, it's corrupting, or your backups are corrupted. You don't know.
You'll never know.
It can happen
until you test it.
Exactly.
Which I think
it already happened to me.
Oh yeah.
You know, and luckily we were reviewing, and said, well, look inside a backup. Oops, it doesn't unzip or gzips or tar or whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe it's time to review that, right?
Yeah.
So or there was a problem with the connection on the Samba or whatever. You know, this is something you have to look at.
So moving forward, what can you do to cover yourself? So if you were to advise an OVH client before the fire, they were going to follow your instructions, right? What is the best way to cover yourself? Now, you were talking a little bit earlier about enabling something, and then there's another option to back it up in another area. So there's that part.
It's very simple. Most of these companies are great companies like OVH.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't know, it can just call and ask, I want to be safe. What's going to happen if...
Ask OVH, ask the data center.
He said, well, if you enable this backup,
Yeah.
Then we're gonna be backing it up in Germany, let's say.
Okay, so there's two options. There's enable backup and then enable backup somewhere else?
I don't know for OVH. I know
Okay.
AWS has that option. When you enable the backup, you can choose if you want it in the same area as your server or not, or something like that. Or
Okay.
I'm not too sure how it works, but I know you can select a different location of your backups.
So AWS is the same, right? Now for us laymen, AWS is the same. They have data centers, obviously. And those data centers, if one of them catches on fire, they have the same, it's the exact same issue, right?
Yeah, except they're much bigger.
They're much bigger, but I mean, it's still the onus is upon the sysadmin or the
You have
person
to
for your company that's setting it up to either
enable the
leave-
backups. Yeah.
enable it, step one, and then enable backup at another location so that if one of those data centers catches on fire or has a power surge or gets hit by a tornado, right? The U.S., a lot of tornadoes, that the backup is actually in a completely different city.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
So that's the same for OVH,
Yep.
I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah, they probably had that service where you can enable a backup that is not in the same location.
Okay. Who in their right mind would not enable those two things? Is it cost?
I think it's just ignorance. They just don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. Okay.
They just trust blindly that the company will be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like putting all your money in the same bank account. As you don't think it's possible that the bank's going to close one day or the government's going to seize the bank's assets.
Yeah.
But all of this already happened.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. They just don't know or they don't believe it can happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully this is a bit of a wake-up call for everyone to make sure that you're backed up properly and make sure that you test your disaster recovery program, right? How do we advise our clients at SimplyPHP? Now, how do...
Well, all the clients that we have on AWS have backups.
Okay.
So they all have it.
They all have backups.
It's by default.
Okay, so we set it up so that, and this is, I didn't want it to be a commercial for SimplyPHP, but it kind of is. So when we touch the servers as sysadmins, because we provide sysadmin services as well as PHP
But on top of it,
development.
we have also the Git repo that we have somewhere else, and so we manage the backups.
So the code repositories are backed up.
Exactly.
The servers are backed up.
Yeah.
So those two buttons are enabled, right?
Yep.
The one backup and backup should be at another location.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if I go back for fun, like 15 years ago, 16 years ago when we opened the first office here, that has been one of the concern right away. Like we had a lot of data. And so we said, because at the time cloud was not what it is today. So we said, you know what, we're going to back up all of that data on the hard drives. And I would even go deeper and take each hard drive and duplicate it on another hard drive because they're mechanical hard drives. So they can just stop working from one day to another. I didn't know. So let's not take a chance. We're going to have a mirror of the backup. And I had a bunch of, I have the hard drives in the office. And I had the mirrors at home.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah,
but
two
we
different
knew what to
locations.
do if something would happen.
So let me ask you now. Let's say we have 40 clients.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder, do they all have proper backups? Should we run a disaster recovery sort of program throughout all our clients? I almost feel like we should do that because like you said, in our instant, we enabled this and we enabled that. Well, hang on a second. When you enable those two mechanisms, right, backup in another location, that doesn't automatically mean that the backup is set up properly. You still need documentation. You still need to have.
Well, you need to know because it's not because it has the word backup that it's going to be working to restore the backups.
Yeah, it could be corrupted.
Like I was saying, if you have a very transactional website and you have a snapshot of the instance every day at 3 a.m., well, if something happens and you need to restore this 48 hours later, not only you lose the data for the past 48 hours, but also during that snapshot time, some table will be corrupted. It's possible. It's possible. So you need to test those.
So I guess the solution for our clients and for anyone else, but I'm just trying to work out something that we could probably do is do like a disaster recovery test for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Some clients, we don't really have access to their infrastructure or hosting.
Yeah.
Like we have access to do the work, but we don't manage them.
Yeah.
But anyone that we manage, I do think we have backups enabled.
Yeah, we have backups enabled, but have we tried a test?
Well,
restore?
if for example AWS, the way it works, we know it's easy to restore. We're getting used to it, so we don't have to test every single application.
Oh, okay.
But we know how it works to restore those backups, whether it's the database backups or the instance backup.
Okay.
Yeah, we get used to it, but
Okay.
someone should definitely test it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Kyler, I'd like to know about comments, and especially the ones that are not agreeing.
So some people are chatting about, like one person asked, apart from Git, which is a perfect backup, and then some other developers are giving recommendations.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good because look, we don't have the absolute truth here, and there's context. There's different platforms. It always depends.
Yeah, like the biggest comment that people are talking about is just the opinion whether the hosting company
Okay.
should enable, like, it should be default, or should it be up to the customer, the client, to actually have the freedom to pick their own backup host.
The thing with that is that they are technical. The people that are saying that on the
Yeah.
comments, they are technical, so it makes sense for them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
You have also to consider the fact that there's some moms and pop people that are just opening an account. So it's going to be fine. Here's my
Yeah, they don't even know if they
basement
have-
dev that's going to do it.
Yeah,
And
that's true. That's true. It's a good point. And if there's any developers that are listening today and commenting, if you're located in Canada, we're always hiring. So if you've got if you're an intermediate to senior PHP programmer, reach out to Steve at SimplyPHP.com, which is STEVE at SimplyPHP.com. A little bit of a plug for Steve. And yeah, if you're an intermediate to senior PHP developer, you have to be located in Canada, and you have to be willing to be hired for a full-time position. Anything else, Kyler? Anything else happening?
No other comments than that, and the ones I just talked about. And then a couple people saying hi, like let's
All right.
connect and stuff like that.
good.
All right, cool. Any other final thoughts on the OVH data center fire?
Well,
add anything?
I'm very careful to put any judgment on what happened to them because we don't know all the facts, and I don't want to be one of those Twitters.
When you say what happened to them, you mean what
OVH.
happened to OVH
Yeah,
as a company?
because
Yeah,
I
they're awesome. I heard they're a really good company.
Yeah, and they actually were going on the stock market a few days before. I mean, after that, like it's not good. It's not good.
That
But
sucks.
when this happened, and I was looking at the comments on Twitter, it was just a disaster. People were being Monday morning quarterbacks, and they all they all knew everything, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you need to be open minded enough to and not be judgmental to understand that you don't know everything. And so, but about that's my opinion about OVH. And I'm assuming they're professional, and they did whatever they had to do.
Yeah,
And
stuff happens, right?
and it's just bad what happened. It's as bad. It's bad for them. It's bad for their clients. So, but yeah, like I said, backups don't mean that it's going to be easy to restore. So you need to try your own backups on the different instance. Just try to restore them. See how it's going to be running
From the backup.
from the backups.
Yeah, I think to me that's the biggest parting comment is that what people should take from this is that they need to know, first of all, where they're hosted.
Yeah.
Make sure that they've enabled backups. Make sure they've enabled backups in a different location. And then every couple months, first of all, start immediately.
Yeah.
Backup, I mean, try and, what is the proper terms? Try and blank from your backup. Try and,
Restore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess obviously a sysadmin knows what to do. They won't rely on me. So for me, that's a no-brainer.
Totally.
Those are the steps. Make sure, take a look and see if you are actually backing up. And if you are, make sure that the backup is at a better location.
Yep.
And then actually try and restore your business from your backup. And if you have any problems, you can deal with them now, as opposed to dealing with them when you're watching CNN and you're seeing your data center having trouble.
Nowadays, it's a little bit more complicated because most people are working remotely. But I don't see this to be any different than having an emergency. How do you call it when
A fire drill?
Yeah, fire drill is the same thing. But you're never warned that you're gonna have a fire drill.
Yeah.
And if we were to have people still in the office all the time, then one day I would come in that I know that the systems are not full that day.
Yeah, they're not
So
busy.
by the way, we
Fire
cut
drill.
fire. Yep, and you have to restore. Let's go.
That's the
And
way to
that's
do
your
it.
work of today. Yeah, because it keeps it fresh in the mind.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't know. Maybe next year it's going to be different people that's going to be working in that
Yeah.
role.
And you know what? The things you'll learn from that fire drill are, you're going to blow your mind. You're going to say, wow, okay.
I need to adjust something.
Thank gosh that we did this. And let's
Yeah.
do it again in a couple months.
Well, when we did that, we did some sort of a fire drill about 2 years ago.
Yeah. I remember.
But it wasn't really like, okay, you need to restore the whole thing. But really what we did is, okay, if we're on fire today, do we have enough, or do we have all the backups so people can start working remotely tomorrow?
The next day.
The next
that was
day.
the thing. We wanted
Yeah.
to be able to be in business the next day.
The next day. And
Yeah.
so talking of sysadmins, say, well, we missed this, we missed that. This is host here, that's an issue. Okay, well, let's move everything out. So
Yeah.
we have our server room here with a bunch of servers, but there's things that we've moved out.
Yeah.
You know? So all right. So we've learned from it.
That's great.
You know?
That's great. I'm glad we
We're-
can sleep at night.
But like I don't want to say that as bragging about our system.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I think we have a pretty good system now, but that's just because we practiced it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're doing the video, right? To
Yeah.
educate, and hopefully someone's watching it that is going to say, wow, you know what? I think that we should do that. And it could save their business 5-10 years down the line.
Well, you know what? We did not talk about that, but remember a few clients, and there's one in particular I have in my mind that has a pretty old system that you spoke to.
Okay.
It's all on local server in their office, but it's
Yeah.
their old business that is on those servers.
Yeah.
They
there's
do
more
have
than one.
backups on tapes.
On tapes.
On tapes.
What is a tape?
It's a tape backup.
Like
At
a
the time,
floppy disk.
at the time, there was tape backup.
Oh, okay.
So it was like just like a slot on your computer, tape, and
Okay.
backups your
okay.
data.
Okay,
Takes
okay.
forever to
Okay.
restore. But I remember like we were talking about that client or that prospect and be like, they better not catch fire, these guys. Like they're gonna be done the next day.
The funny part is about that, Raf, is that the reason why they had their servers inside of their business in their brick and mortar location is because they didn't trust anybody.
They didn't trust anybody.
Yeah. So
So they didn't trust anybody, but they did trust their building to never catch fire.
yeah, that's the thing, you know. But
You know?
people of a certain generation
Yeah.
say, you know what? If we have this under our roof in our brick and mortar building, I can sleep at night, and it's like psychological thing.
And
you know?
especially in computers or technology, things move very fast.
Mhm.
And there's things now. I mean, I used to be quite knowledgeable about that, but nowadays I feel I'm getting very old.
Yeah.
You know, with those AWS, serverless, Docker shit, and all of that, I'm getting lost. You know, so I don't blame them. You know, those old
Yeah.
generation.
I know.
But at the same time, you have to stay open-minded all the time and know that you don't know everything.
Well, you have to hire the right people.
And hire the right people.
Yeah, hire the right people. You know
That
what?
helps.
I think we should end it on that. Hire the right people,
Yeah.
and don't forget, if you're a developer located in Canada, Steve at SimplyPHP.com. We're looking to hire. I think we're looking for intermediate to senior PHP developers.
Yeah.
And I think there's one position open for Magento developer as well. And yeah, we really hope, Kyler. So you're gonna take this video and you might chop it up a little bit and do some micro 1 or 2 minute videos out of it. Correct?
100%. Yeah.
All right.
And just before we end this off, there was a comment that I just wanted to bring up,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys, kind of answered it, but I just wanted to bring it up that. How can you incorporate what happened with this fire in other aspects of your business? But I think you guys have answered that quite a bit, talking about not just your data, but also maybe your content, your marketing, your sales, like other aspects of your business.
Yeah, I think if you go by the fire drill terminology, okay, so you come into work one day, and whether you're by yourself or you have one employee or 20 employees, you say, hey everybody, and you pick a slow day, right? Say, hey everybody, we just had a massive fire, everything's burnt. What do you do? And you're going to start finding the chinks in the armor, right? You're going to start saying, oh, you know what, our Git repo is actually not backed up properly, or our backup at a different location is not enabled. And that's the way to do it for everything. You know what? I have one car key. Well, it's a truck, but I have one truck key. And I realize, I'm like, if I lose this one key, I'm going to be screwed for a couple days.
Yep.
If I lose my truck key on a Saturday morning, I probably won't get mobile until Monday. So it goes down to the most minute thing.
Yep.
It's like, pretend that there's a massive fire on Monday morning. How long would it take you to get back?
If we even go smaller or simpler than that, most people have their I don't know, let's say their phone photos on their phone, or sync to, I don't know, Google Photo or whatever it is.
iCloud or whatever.
Is it? Yeah. If that's the case, then let's assume you're quite fine. You should be fine.
That's right.
But if you did not enable this, I remember, like my daughter, it's already happened to her that the phone broke, lost all the pictures, on a crisis. You know, it's a drama, and it's that simple.
Yeah. So that's.
I ended up manage my phone that if I lose it or if I break it, I don't care. I have nothing on it.
Don't touch my phone.
I literally have nothing on it. Everything is backed up.
Okay, good.
On my computer is the same thing. Because that's another thing that happened to me twice. I got my laptop stolen.
Yeah.
In the past,
I remember that.
10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Twice, and I had data on it, and I had,
I remember that. That was brutal.
It was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So you learn from that.
Yeah. So that's. Sorry, bud.
Oh, I was just going to say, and we actually had about 8 to 10 people join kind of near the end.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if we're able, before we end this conversation, if we could summarize this into, just summarize this whole talk, because you guys had a lot of good information for them before we end off the live stream. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I could summarize quickly by saying use the fire drill method. All right. So you go into your office next Monday morning and you say, okay, we just had a massive fire everywhere.
Yep.
In the office, our data center is up in smoke. Everything's up in smoke. And then just go through everything and make sure that you could actually restore your business.
Correct.
Within a day, right?
It
8
should be.
hours, you should be able to restore everything in 8 hours. Now, there's people that are still down from that data center fire.
It's not going to be perfect the first day, probably, but at least you're operational the next day.
And the prevention thing is make sure that you go into your server portal, enable backups in a different location, and stay tuned to SimplyPHP's LinkedIn page, where Kyler is going to probably, let's say if we do an hour live video today, he's probably going to post 10 micro videos of this talk. So stay tuned and you can get more details that way.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
That's all the comments that I can see.
Perfect.
And
Great.
people are just slowly
Beautiful.
signing off.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Really, really happy. Great to see Raf back in action. And we'll probably do another live next week. I've got a great idea, but it's escaping me now. But anyway.
Thanks,
We
bud.
good?
Yep. Thanks.
Thanks, Kyler. Okay, bye.